I'll be 101 in December. I was born December the 13th, 1921, in a small town 15 miles from Dallas. When I was 1 year old, my father moved me and my mother to a small town 50 miles south of Wichita Falls to a farm that he owned. We lived in a small four-room shack that my father built. No running water, no electricity, no telephone. We had an outside toilet, Sears and Roebuck catalog for toilet paper, uh, wood-burning stoves to heat the house, and another wood-burning stove for cooking. When I started school there, I walked 1 mile to school. We had no telephone. The closest telephone was 1 mile away. I don't know what all of you folks know about farming, but I can tell you back in those days during the Great Depression, it was very rough. Gasoline was 15 cents a gallon. We never went hungry, but my father grew most of our food. Some of the stuff we traded for staple foods at M.J. Phillips grocery store in Newcastle, which was a large city 7 miles away of 1,200 people. At any rate, I soon realized that farming was not going to consume my life. When I was 18, I told my mother, I'm going to the Navy. She didn't like that. She didn't agree. After a lot of persuasion, I finally convinced her. I was sworn in Wichita Falls. I boarded the train for Dallas, was sworn in again at the main station, boarded the train for San Diego. When I reached San Diego, I was taken to the Naval Training Station, got all my gear, my clothing, and so forth. Was then examined by the doctor, and it so happened that my last job prior to joining the Navy, I was cutting prickly pears in the pasture with a long-handled shovel, piling the pears, letting them dry and burning them so the cattle couldn't eat them. The doctor looked at them. I had calluses on my hands you couldn't believe. He looked at my hands. He said, "What in the hell have you been doing?" He then told me I had appendicitis. I was transferred to the Naval Hospital, spent 1 month there. My first 4 months in the Navy, I was part of the beach crew. Following that, I was assigned as a plane crew member, as a waste hatch gunner, and the first mechanic. 4 months later, I made it to the status of flight engineer. Aircraft built during my day had a flight engineer's compartment that had almost all of the controls to the aircraft. A pilot couldn't even start an aircraft without the flight engineer. Of course, in the recent building of aircraft, all of that has gone away. There is no such thing as a flight engineer anymore. Everything's been moved to the cockpit. I had the duty that day, which means you stay aboard and stand watch or whatever happens. My section had just fell in for muster in our own hangar. And moments later, we heard a screaming aircraft. And moments after that, we heard a terrible explosion. The first bomb that fell on Fort Island hit the hangar next to mine, which was only 100 yards away. But all of our aircraft, which incidentally were only 2 weeks old, we had just returned from San Diego with new PBYs, half of our aircraft were on fire from the bomb that fell on the adjoining hangar. We seen all the aircraft in the sky with the rising sun insignia. We knew immediately what had happened. We all ran, jumped in the ditch, sat there clinging to each other. One of the pilots seen us, strafed the ditch with machine gun fire, missing us by probably 3 feet. He hit the dirt piled up beside the ditch. This was a two-wave attack, of course, as you know, an hour and 15 minutes apart. The first attack was 183 aircraft. I don't know how long we were in the ditch, but when we came out, we started separating burning aircraft from undamaged aircraft. I was directed by our leading chief to go in the hangar with, he said, grab two other guys and go in the hangar and get the commanding officer's aircraft ready for flight. It was in the hangar undergoing a 30-hour check. We got the aircraft buttoned up. It was rolled out, was fueled, loaded with two 1,000-pound bombs. The commanding officer and his crew flew for 19 hours looking for the Japanese fleet and found nothing. Immediately after the conflict had started, martial law was declared all over the Hawaiian Islands, a complete blackout, and late in the afternoon, Fort Island was equipped with machine gun pits all around Fort Island. I had the pleasure, along with two shipmates, of manning one of them for 3 days and nights. We had no idea where the Japanese fleet was or if they planned on returning. With every ship noise and every aircraft noise we heard, we knew they were coming back. Fortunately, that didn't happen.